Hello and welcome to a new Google Sheets video in Practical Sheets. Today, part 5 of the help desk system. What I'm going to do today is to finish up, close it. Maybe not everything will be perfect, but I think it's a very tight system that will help you a lot. What is missing? One thing it's missing is that when the cases are closed, when someone comes here and closes a case, it puts solved or it puts canceled, then automatically the customer will receive an email saying your case should be solved, please answer our satisfaction survey or whatever, and then the date closed puts here. And a thing I didn't have before is the date canceled, because for me solved and cancel is the same thing, but maybe for you it's very important to track what was closed. That closed would mean actually that it's solved, that it was positive. But cancel is that maybe that the customer canceled it, or that they weren't able to bring a solution, so this is why it's cancelled. So we fix these two, and finally what we do is a little dashboard where we can easily see how many tickets we have, how many tickets have been opened, how many tickets are being processed. It's just an example. You could put more things with what I tell you here. Then you could also do your own KPIs. You could see how many cases have been solved. So here is the summary, and down here you could go more detail. For example, you could detail by area. Of these 3 tickets open, how many are in each area? And then you could see the details. This started, maybe you see that one started 3 months ago and is open, so why? So you could see the requirement code and then ask directly to the person responsible or whatever. The same for the processing. You could see the detail and you see that there's one processing 6 months ago. So it helped you take decisions regarding your ticketing. Okay? So I know you love it, but before we start, I have to always invite you to subscribe to my channel or go to the Patreon page if you want to download the template for this video and the more than 70 videos we have in the channel. So let's begin. For now, let's tie this up so that everything is working as it should. So I'm going to test it first, and just as a bonus for the Patreon supporters who want to download the template, I'm going to show you very quickly how to set up the template. So if you are copying this sheet, then very important thing to do, remember that the sheet and the forms both have codes or Google Apps script. So there are 3 or 4 things you should do. The first thing is in your code here, in the code from the Google Forms, you should change the Sheets ID, making sure that it's the same from your Google Sheets. Okay? First step. Second step, you should make sure that the column status, column processing, and column closed are the same as here, 9, 11, and 12 in my case. Finally, we need to create a trigger in the form script. So we're going to go to executions in my form script. We're going to give a bit of zoom out so I can see my button. It's here, triggers. And I will click add trigger. We will choose add answer. And here we'll leave all as it is, but we'll change on open to on form submit. We're going to click save. Then we have a pop-up to give permissions. I click on advanced, on go to help desk system, or if you have a different name of your script, then allow. And that's it. It should work. So I deleted everything so we can start from scratch, and let's do maybe a first requirement. We're going to click here in preview. Let's put an email. Area of the requirement, let's say subscriptions. Where do I join? And I click submit. Then let's see if everything is going fine. So here everything apparently goes really well. I have the requirement date, the requirement hour, the code, the email of the user, the area. Remember that with the area we bring the email, because here in areas we have the email of each area. So in the case of subscription, it was Practical Sheets plus on at Gmail. And here it is. And the responsible, it also brings it from that table automatically. We did this in the previous 4 lessons. The status will always be open at the beginning, and we have the date opened. That is the same date. So, well, maybe here I'm being a bit redundant, because these and these are the same. So maybe we didn't need that date, but let's leave it like that for now. Okay, so now let's check our mails. So Anne should have received a first email. So let's go to our Gmail. Here, helpdesk requirement number 1. It says, hello, you've been assigned the helpdesk system case number 1 by the user and its email. The requirement is, where do I join? Okay, so it's very easy and it arrives to the email that I said. Perfect. Now Anne can go and maybe send an email because she has the email, so I can send an email directly to the user, say, hey, this is the link. Please let me know if it works, and if it's something as simple as this, then Anne would say, okay, it's solved. I just send an email, and I'll go here to my help desk. I will look for the requirement code. So the only thing I'm going to do here actually is just remove the decimals. That's it. But it's important that we keep it as a number in this case. Maybe if you had a code that is with text, things would need to change a bit. But for now, I don't think there's a problem. Let's do another test. I'm going to send another requirement. Here, I can say courses. I cannot access course number 2. So let's go here. And here I have the 2. Perfect. Just make sure that this is a number, just in case. Okay, so Anne looks for the requirement code number 1 here. Maybe when we have a lot, one of the possibilities in the future is that there is another form for solving, and that when it's solved, then it comes automatically and says solve, so she doesn't have to come directly to the sheets. But given that they work in your area and I don't think it's too much hassle to come here and say, okay, this has been solved. And in theory, once I come solved, the date closed is here, and I don't need a processing date because it was so easy. Let's see this other one that is not for Anne, but for Juan. So I go here, and this is the same email, and this is for Juan, and this is I cannot access course number 2. So Juan should go here and say, okay, we're going to start processing. So let's say processing, because it will take a bit longer. I need to start a series of emails and hear back from the customer and all that. Okay, so it's still not closed. Let's see, I'm going to go to the email of the user to see how does the email are reached for them. So here's hello, thank you for your requirement. We're processing it, and you will hear from us soon. The number of your requirement for future reference is 1. Regards, tal. Okay, and here is the other one. Also, it was for the same email. Okay. One of the things we could do in the future, I don't think it's essential for the system, but we could do it in an advanced course, is to do these emails in an HTML. It's not that difficult. I actually think I have in the channel, you'll find a mail merge tutorial where I do it. So I think you can do it from there. But one thing I'm missing, and that someone asked in the comments, is that the customer received an email when it was open, but not when it was closed. Maybe I want to send an email when it's closed, and maybe send a satisfaction survey to see how he was attended, if he liked it, and a link to another form or something like that. Okay, so let's do that. Shouldn't be that difficult because we already have the trigger. The trigger should be the moment that here Anne came and say solved. Okay, one important thing is that here that to know is that you can see in the show edit history and see who changed it. So for example, someone made a mistake and it was not Anne, but it was Juan that put solved in the one that it wasn't his. So this is why in the future we could add another form so that only Juan can change this and not anyone that has access to the spreadsheet. Okay, so for now, what here, if we go to the code in my Google Sheets, there's a change status that when it changes to processing, it puts a value, and when it changes to solved, it also puts the value in the date in the solved category, okay? So what I want to do here, actually I'm going to separate this else if into. The first one will be this, the second one, else if, will be the same, but I want to separate close from solved. Solved from cancelled, sorry. Why? Because one is it solved, I want to send different emails to the customer. Let's put this under brackets and hit enter 2 times to separate the brackets. Let's hit format document. So once it is solved, I want to send an email. So we're going to say Gmail app.send email. To whom we are going to send it? To the email of Anne or of Juan, the email in that row. To get the email in that row, we're going to say variable email. It will be the active sheet dot get range. I want to bring a specific data value from that row. So I have the row, but I don't have the column. The column I want is this H. That is, H would be 8, column 8. So you remember here we have put all our columns. So I will say column email will be 8. And I'm going to say get range. In my active row, go to my active row and to call email and get the value. Okay, this is my email. So now I can send an email to that email with a subject. Sorry, so the user actually is number 4, column 4. So again, here, if you want, we could change this to user email. So it is clear. Call user email. Okay. And now the email, the subject will be case solved. And the message, we could create it right here. And we can say, dear. So dear customer. And let's do a jump. We would like to inform you that your help desk case number, and the number, we do have it, is column number 3. Let's put it here. This is column use requirement or requirement code is 3. And here you add another variable that is the requirement code and call requirement. We would like to inform you that your help desk case number rec code has been marked as solved. Please help us improve by filling out our satisfaction questionnaire. And we could then put the link if we want. Okay? And that's it. Maybe in the cancelled, we could also send an email. But for now, I'm more interested in the solved one. Let's save. And let's solve another case. So here, let's say Juan solved it right now. So let's say solved. And first, let's see if our customer has received the email. I think I didn't save. No, I did save. Let's see, something is not working here. Let's go to our executions. Failed. Because I don't have the permission. Yeah. So I need to do a permission. Very similar, if you have done all this course, you remember that we did a permission function in our forms. So I'm just going to say Gmail app dot whatever, get ellipsis, whatever. Okay, let's save. Let's run our permissions one time, and it's going to ask me for permissions. So before doing it, I'm going to change this again to processing, and let's see if this changes again. Be careful with that, because the person could change a couple of times of processing and this date will change. If you want that they cannot change it again, then we should change a bit some of the codes and the formulas. Let's do this. advanced, go to untitled project, and allow. This should have a name. Okay, now let's do it again. Let's change this to solved. Let's go to our Gmail, apparently. Let me see. Let's see if we have another mistake. Failed again. So the reason of the mistake is that onEdit cannot send emails. So we need to change this. It's very simple. We're going to delete this onEdit function. We're going to go to our triggers, very similar to what we did in the Google Forms. We're at trigger, we choose change status, we go for onEdit. It's exactly the same we had in the code, but we're going to do it from the trigger because the trigger is built to connect with services such as Gmail. Okay, so now we have it. Now let's test it again. I'm going to change this again to processing and then change again to solved. So the date changes, and in theory I should receive here an email. Case solved. Dear customer, we would like to inform you that help desk case 2 has been marked as solved. Please help us improve by filling out our satisfaction questionnaire. Okay, so we have it. Nice. One last thing before I go. Another thing that was asked is what happens if something is cancelled. So let's say for any reason this is cancelled. Here you see that the date that is changed is date closed. So maybe we should have here a date cancelled, because maybe you started processing it, and then I think that the closed should work for solved or for cancelled, because you're closing it even if it's solved or even if it's cancelled. But maybe you want to keep it separated, and that's okay. And now that we changed our code to have solved different than cancelled, we could do it pretty easily. And we could send an email if you want also. In this same fashion, if you want to send an email to also your employee, you could do it. We could have the email of the employee with the steps we did today and send another email. Or the same email just in copy, you could also do it. And here we're going to do something similar. We're going to do this active sheet, get range, active row, but we're going to create a new column. It's not column closed, but column cancelled. And this will be 13. And here will be column cancelled. And that's it. And again, if you want to send an email, it's pretty easy. Well, it's not pretty easy. If you're following, it takes work, but with a bit of effort. If you've never done this, I hope that my steps are clear enough. Maybe not every time, but hopefully most of the time. And here I can say, dear customer, we would like to inform you that your help desk case has been marked as cancelled. And then you could say anything else. If you think this is not okay, please send an email, whatever. Okay, let's cancel this one. And we have the date here. Let's put the same format, so we have the hour also. Okay, excellent. Let's see what else we had in our to-do. The more professional email, again, if you want, I'll leave you the description of the video when I do some HTML emails that you can also implement here. This last thing I'm going to do is a bit of a dashboard, a very simple dashboard. I'm just going to create some more requirements, some solved, some not. So let me see. Okay, so now we have more. Maybe there's one we're going to process, and then there's one we can also solve immediately. Okay, so I want to do a very simple dashboard where I can see how is the status of my tickets. So there are a lot of things you could ask. Maybe one thing is total tickets. So let's say total tickets received. We could also do this in Looker, that was Google Data Studio or Power BI or something like that, but I'm always a fan of starting small. And then if you want to improve, then you can go to a special software for doing dashboards and everything. But For now, it's just to keep record and to be able to show your manager or yourself how things are going and how, in a nutshell, or in just a couple of numbers, you can see if things are going well or not. Okay? Total tickets received. So let's say we're going to count this starting in line number 2. So let's say count A and starting in G2, and let's go up to G. This will be the total tickets received. If you want, we can put it here and then we can format it better. And maybe more importantly, total tickets open. And this we need to count, very similar to this, but we're only going to count what is open. Okay, so we're going to do this with a count if. So let's count if here in requirements, we're going to count this column when it says open, no more. So we have 2 tickets opened. Okay, and maybe tickets processing is also important to know. Total tickets processing, because if we have 2 opened, maybe I can have the detail of the opens or the date, because if I have a ticket opened from 2 months ago, then I can go to my employees or responsible or Juan, hey, what happened? This is open since September. Now I forgot to close it, maybe. Or no, I haven't been able, but I haven't sent an email, you know? So this is important. Total tickets processing, it will be the same. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here, but instead of open, I'm going to put processing. Okay? And then maybe I want to see the detail. So here, down here, I want to see the tickets opened, which are, I could go further and see what is the average time they've been open. So for example, here, I can look at the date opened and subtract from the today and see how long they've been open in average. I don't know if this will tell me something or not, but maybe so. But maybe the detail could be nice. So here I'm going to bring the detail with a query function. I have some videos in query if you want to go deeper. This is a very, very interesting function. Let's go to requirements. I'm going to select all of my table up to everything, date canceled, and let's leave it open, M. And what I want to do, this is a very particular formula, so if you've never used it, bear with me, okay? So maybe I don't want to show everything. The requirement date could be, or just the open date. The date opened could be, or just the requirement date. So let's select our first column, that is the requirement date. The requirement code could be important also, C. The area, because I want to know who is, if everything is from subscriptions, then something is happening in subscriptions, you know? When we have a lot of inquiries, then we could maybe do some stats by area. What else? The responsible I should know, or maybe instead of area, we could put the responsible. And finally, the status no, because I know that it's opened. So that's it. Okay. Let's move this bit to the right. Okay, so I can see which are the ones that are open, but actually these are not the ones that are open, these are everything. So I need to do a filter. So I'm going to filter that the status, that is column I, is open. So here, after the select, I'm going to say where I equals, and doing this apostrophe or this single quotation mark, open, close, and that's it. Okay, so I have here my open. And the same I can do for processing. So let's copy this query and let's change this to processing. Now I have my processing. So now we're going to do, this is just an example of what we could do. We could do much more things. Again, we could do the average of the times. We could see which are the persons or the areas that have more cases open. Here, the total tickets open. Here, I have an example, only 2, but if you have 30, maybe down here you could do, or before seeing the details, we could have by area, which are the areas that have more or less. We could use this same query to do the same. We could use, again, I invite you to see my query videos where we could use a group by, and with the group by we could group by areas to see which are the areas that have Actually, you know what? Let's do it. So I'm going to copy this. Let's paste it a bit down. Let's again, I'm going to paste this here. Copy this and paste it here. And I'm going to group by area. So let's say I'm just going to select the area, that is E, and I'm going to count. I could count by maybe date, doesn't matter. Count where I equals to open, and then I'm going to group by. I'm going to group by E, that is the areas. So in our case, we have one for courses, one for subscriptions. I don't like how I see this, so I'm going to put number of cases. I put this with the label clause, and let's put double quotations, and let's say number of cases, or cases. That's it. I did something wrong. What should I label? I'm going to label this count A as cases. Okay, so here I can have the summary by area, and here detail. And we could do the same here if you want. And finally, let's arrange this a bit better. Maybe I want to center this. Okay, I'm going to merge. I'm not a big merge fan, but in this case it could work. Let's insert some rows. Let's say call this help desk system stats or report. Okay, let's also merge this and center it and make it a bit bigger, and let's delete this, smaller, and I could also merge this one and this one and this one. Let's also center and make it smaller. Maybe we could change all the fonts to a much nicer font. Okay, and again, let's merge a bit. Just a bit of formatting. You could skip this if you want, but just to show you what a thing we can do, and it could look really nice very quickly, actually, you know. And maybe this doesn't look the best. It could, but it's just a sample of what you could do if you dedicate an hour or a bit more to designing this. Okay, finally, let's put also some color here. We could delete all these columns, Control Shift right, Control Alt minus. Let's remove this. Let's give us a little more space. I'm going to remove my grid lines. I could put some nice colors, some nice borders to this. And now it looks a bit better. It's not the best. Let's change this and put it a bit smaller. But it gives you an idea of what you can do. So you can have some stats. This is a dashboard. The main feature of the dashboard is that it updates automatically. So every time a new case comes here, so let's do the test. So here I see that I have total tickets open 2. So now I submit another response. Let's go for technical, that I don't have technical here. So just be careful with this. Let's insert another row just in case. We should have a couple of rows, because if there's the possibility that we add another area, so just be careful with that. What is your requirement? I don't know. Let's submit. And here, let's give it a moment. And now we have 3 tickets open. We have 1 in technical. We have this other one. So let's actually include There may be at the beginning some formatting issues that you could solve, and that's it. Okay? And you could go even further. You could have some conditional formatting that if the tickets opened are more than 10, then you should color this red. And if these tickets opened are 0, then maybe something has happened. Maybe I forgot to put tickets closed. Maybe you could put by a month, tickets closed month by month. There's a lot of things we could develop further, but I think that for now, this gives you a lot of ideas. Just ask me anything if you need. And again, as I told you at the beginning of the video, I hope to do this in much more detail and with much more branches in my Google Sheets Academy coming soon. So thank you so much. Thank you for seeing up until now. And if you want to support me, just by subscribing to the YouTube channel is enough. But if you want to go a bit further, then you could go to the Patreon page or visit Practical Sheets to see what I have to offer you there. Among which you will find the template of this video and all the 5 videos in the help desk system up until now. Thank you so much. See you next time.